We have to teach them how to forgive. In our family, when somebody has hurt somebody else, not only do they say, I'm sorry, but they have to actually say what they're sorry for and ask if that person will forgive them. It's not an implied. As much as we teach everybody that we should forgive each other as we have been forgiven, they still have to ask permission, will you please forgive me? And that teaches them several things. It teaches them humility. They're not the end-all be-all, and they have to, admit that they've done something wrong. And it also teaches them that forgiveness is something that is important. Because when they feel forgiven, they feel a lot better about what happened than if they don't think they've been forgiven. So I'm trying to teach them the ways of the Lord in this way, right? All right, then once we've got from submission to respect to forgiveness, I'm losing space here on my board, then we move on to rapport. Okay? When we build this rapport, this is spending time with our children. Okay? Now, don't panic. This is not about how much time you have with your children. This is about how are you spending that time with them. Are you sitting in the car constantly driving from one place to the next and just listening to the radio and kind of ignoring each other? Or are you sitting in the car driving one place to the next going, hey, how was your day? What's going on? Tell me what happened at school today. Hey, remember that thing you told me the other day about so-and-so? How's that working out? What are you doing with your kids? How are you interacting with them? Right? Building that rapport is important. It's going to carry you through all of the difficult situations that you're going to encounter as a parent. Right? But trying to build rapport when you haven't forgiven your child is really difficult. Or when maybe they haven't learned to forgive you. And trying to build rapport when you don't have respect for your children is nothing. I mean, you really can't have a rapport with your children if you don't respect who they are individually. Right? It's a one-sided dialogue. And having rapport without having submission to God and your husband about it, you may be led completely astray in building a relationship with your child based on things that are not appropriate to God and definitely not okay by your husband. Right? This is how we create that healthy child. This child who is learning to follow God. Right? This is what our job as parents is to teach our children the ways of the Lord, to model it for them, to show them the right way, to put in the consequences if they need to, unless there's natural consequences there, and teach them this. Okay? This is what's important to do. When we can do this, it is not automatically implied then that our family will be a healthy, cultivated, peace family. Right? The family needs some attention too. Okay? And right now we're going to talk first about our immediate family. You, your husband, and your children. You need to develop a family identity. And I talk a little bit about this in our session notes. But when you have a family identity, it gives your children a sense beyond themselves that they belong. Now, my family for a while was known as the traveling family. Not only did we move, but we flew back and forth all the time. We had somewhat of an identity in that. We're also known as Christian family, right? But we have to develop a unique sense for ourselves. Who are we as a family? And if I asked my children to describe our family for you, they'd tell you that we like to go out to eat, we like to go to movies, we're a homeschooling family, we go to church, and, mom tries to help us get around. This is the kind of thing that describe our family. What describes your family? Chances are, you may not be cohesive in all areas. Those are the areas that God's trying to have you work on. Is there an area that you need to offer forgiveness within your family? Is there an area that you need to offer respect? Is there an area that you need to maybe do some more submission work in? Is there an area you need to build some more rapport? All of these things together create for you the opportunity to develop your family. Right? And it's really important because here's the deal. If your family is not cohesive, if you're not a tight-knit unit, and tight-knit has its own connotation, so it's between you and God what tight-knit looks like, remember that, then outside influences can take over in your family. They can take over your children, they can take over your marriage, they can take over you. And this is no better displayed than in an extended family. How often have family squabbles really messed up your own relationship with your husband? How often have differences with grandparents and in-laws mess up your relationships with those particular people in their lives. It's important for you to take the time to work through this process as it relates to your family. Is there submission issues here between you and your husband? And you're going to your mom and complaining all the time about how your husband's not this, how your husband's not that? Then you're really creating an issue in your marriage. And you're creating a division within your family. Hopefully your mom is turning back on you and saying, you're married, this is not okay, you need to go back and talk to your husband about this, right? But this is what is important to do. The same thing happens when we're talking about submission, is to submit to God. Okay, God, I'm married. Your word says we're supposed to leave our family, but it also says to honor your father and mother. What does that look like for me? What does that really look like? Right? It's important to ask God, again, it's always submission to God in all areas of your life, including your extended family. Then it's on to respect. We need to respect the people in our family. All right? We need to respect our family members. Whether or not they agree with us, whether or not they think like us, whether or not they believe the same things that we do, they are still human beings created by God uniquely to serve the purpose He has for them. And even if we think we know what that purpose is and they're not doing anything about it, we are still to respect them. We are still to respect them. The Bible calls us to love one another. And that love sometimes can be difficult to express, especially when we have to say the truth in love. And we know it's not an easy thing for them to say. And then they get all upset. They get all angry and they get frustrated. All right. So to deal with that situation is not to go complain, gossip, or whine to somebody else in the family about it. It's, I'm trying to do what God wants me to do. This is what He's called me to do. Here's what we do. All right. So we are going to be trying to offer respect to our family members. Once we're working through this, then it's time to offer forgiveness to our family members. There are a ton of family situations that can need forgiveness, aren't there? Mother-in-law step on our toes, maybe father-in-law step on our husband's toes, maybe aunts, uncles, grandparents, you name it. There's a situation that possibly needs to be forgiven that's preventing healing from your family. How do I know? Think about Thanksgiving for a minute. Think about Christmas. Think about the next time your family is supposed to get together. Are you dreading it? Why are you dreading it? All right. Then we move on to rapport. It's important to continue to spend time with your extended family. I know it's not always easy, especially if you're still battling through this, but you do need to spend time with your extended family. Ladies, we are called to just to be in this position. It's not an easy position to be in, but God is giving you the strength. God is giving you the resources, if you will, and God is certainly giving you the opportunities, isn't He? There's probably plenty of opportunities coming up here to visit family, to see with family, to spend time with family, but you can also reach out in love on your own. Make the phone calls that you don't want to make, but make them because you're trying to be obedient to God in this, right? This is a lot. This is a lot to take in, but I wanted to show you that this is the process that we have been working on in our own lives, the process we're working on in our marriage, and it extends into the process with our children and families. It is the same process over and over and over again. And it's all about being obedient to God and asking Him to direct our steps. Ladies, I hope in your class discussion time that you are able to get some encouragement and that you're able to offer it to others if you have it as well. Thank you.